Thursday morning. Chuck Herstensen, Stacy Hoyer, Michelle will be joining us, I think, soon. She's texting me on other stuff, so she'll be joining us. She's working out on other deals. Again, with What's Happening in Minnesota Real Estate Show. This is episode number 21, first episode in probably about a month. As we're busy doing what we do, but want to also keep these shows going a little bit. Today, we will have a topic of what's the difference, meaning we'll throw out some real estate terms, phrases that sometimes people have questions on and sometimes often get confused, and we'll share what's the difference. And of course, one of the reasons we do the show is to update you on what's happening in Minnesota real estate month to month. Things can change, things can be the same, or we might run into a couple different situations that we talk about. So I see Michelle is here too, so we'll pop her in. Hi, Michelle. Finish your tour.
I am. Got lots of showings today, so I'm just running in circles.
That's good. I can't believe you made it. You made it home from your showing in time to hop on the show at 8 o'clock. Wow. There must not have been any traffic.
Nope.
Got lucky.
Yeah. I said, I looked at my traffic as like, should I go home or should I go straight to North Branch and just sit in my car? Yeah. Like, I think I have time. I timed it out this morning that I could go home.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
I think last time you were in your car and it didn't actually sound very clear. I actually re-listened to that podcast. So when we flew out of town the other week, a lot of times I'll listen to podcasts, but once you get on a plane in airplane mode, you can't download more shows. So I couldn't go into a specific show and listen to it. So it was on a rotation. So I was forced to listen to our show. And,
sorry.
No. I actually thought, oh, this is pretty decent, better than I would have thought. So
Michelle was in Browerville though too, so we'll give her that little bit of a not.
Yeah. She was in Gray Eagle.
Oh, Gray Eagle.
Her phone kept freezing, and she sounded like she was in outer space.
Nice. Yeah.
It's all good though. Now we're all live, and we all sound equally the same.
Good deal.
Same volume. All right. So Michelle, you might have caught this. We're doing what's the difference. Michelle likes to have these shows, and I have to come up with themes, and then I ask for help, and it ends up being me. So.
Hey, I gave you input just now.
Stacy did give me some input, so that helped. On our 2-minute pre-show production meeting.
Yep, that's right.
When they do radio shows, they have these production meetings before. And I was an intern at KFAN Sports Radio. See, I graduated in 1999 for college. So like the spring of 1999. I was never really in on the production meetings, but I knew they did this. And there was some shows that I literally do think they had 5-minute production meetings. And then there was like Dan Barrero and Chad Hartman that like they would really be meeting for a while, and they'd plan their guests out and do all those kind of things. And then if somebody wasn't on, they'd get mad at the guy trying to get their person. It was interesting. Here we just kind of fly by a seat of our pants. Very common man Dan Cole, who's still on the radio.
And I mean, we're realtors, and that's kind of how our days fly. So we kind of have to fly by the seat of our pants because they change at the drop of a second. So I think we're good at it.
Yeah. So, all right, let's get into this. So, Stacy, Michelle, we can start first. Should we keep people and the banners flying across the bottom of the screen are not flying, ticking across the screen? Comment below. You can always ask us any of your real estate questions. When we talk about what's the difference, we're gonna.
Someone vacuuming?
My printer.
Oh.
Talk about what's the difference. We will answer some real estate questions just by doing that. But Michelle and Stacy, how about you give our listeners, our viewers, our people listening on the recording in the future?
I turned it down.
Okay, I didn't hear your question.
Play the Facebook feed in the background. That happens every show.
I turned it down all the way.
All right,
this is why we need production.
I don't know what I was going to say. I was going to say, how about you give Stacy, Michelle? Stacy can start your update on the last month and how you feel the market is going. Any changes, or is that all the same, or any slight differences?
I feel like as though there has been some slight differences, not like dramatic, but I mean, I've been working with buyers and we're like luckily getting homes now more often than not. And when they say multiple offers, I mean, it's not some of the homes, it's not 15 to 20, it's now 5 to 6 or 3 to 4. So we're getting a little bit more, offers on that. I think a lot of obviously there's tons of buyers out there still, and not enough sellers, but I think maybe a lot more buyers are getting their homes and they're locked in, so they're not looking as much when other people are now out there still looking. So I don't know. I guess it kind of slowed down like the week of 4th of July, but I mean, we still got a lot of action, a lot of Zillow calls, and we're still, between the three of us, still fairly busy with helping current people and new people too. So I don't know. What do you think, Michelle?
Well, I worked the 4th of July weekend for you guys. So I was still showing houses. Somewhat. I did take one day off. I think you're not wrong. I think instead of like 40, 50 offers, there's probably like 5.
Yep.
I have gotten a few homes at list price now.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
But for the people out there that think that it's going to be below list price, like maybe 1 out of 50, and if it is, it's like 5,000 under list price. It's not like 30,000.
Well, and to say off that too, just to interrupt you really quick, it's probably not really super local homes. It's a little further out, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I did get one in Brooklyn Park at list price.
Wow.
And one the other one was in Minnetrista. I mean, so I just think, but it was on the market for a couple days over the weekend. And I think some agents tell their clients, like, you're going to have multiple offers. And then when you don't come Monday, they're like, oh my God, we got an offer.
Yeah.
We better take it.
Yeah.
So you kind of watch for that. But also, like, if you go in with a good offer and put a timeline, that's been working.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you go in and just put a list price offer, you're not going to put a timeline because it's not even going to take it. They're going to wait to see what they get. So we'll wait it out. Yeah. And a lot, like, I kind of feel bad for my inspector because, no, my inspector, the one we use a lot, because I swear everyone's waiving the inspections. They're just like, meh. Everyone's been telling me just to waive the inspections, so that's just been happening a lot. So once in a while, we have them on the seller buy side, but I only have one listing. Every time I put one on, it sells in like 2 days. So not only one I have is a land listing in Browerville. So
nice.
I don't know. The listings go like wild
quickly.
So.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing you didn't mention, and maybe I'm just running into it more because, I do have a lot of listings, is appraisals. I've had a lot of low appraisals in the last month. Now we've worked them all out, but I've had several appraisals come in $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 low, where I don't know why, but it seemed we did have some low ones up until the last month, but it was just like boom, 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 boom. It seemed like a lot of them are coming in low lately, which just seems strange to me compared to the beginning of the year, because the beginning of the year, there wouldn't have been as many comparables to get the appraisals to work. And then all of a sudden you hit this run where there were some low ones. Now, granted, those offers did not have an appraisal clause in, and maybe part of it is these other ones that have had appraisal clauses didn't appraise, but the numbers were close enough where the appraisal clause kicked in. I know, Michelle, you've got a couple where you maybe had appraisal clause, but they were low. But I would say lately in the last month, there's been more low appraisals than like the month before. It's my big change or acknowledgement that people need to know, like, it's happening.
Well, we switched lenders on ours. The one that we had was 17,000 low, and we switched lenders because we know how to do that. And some agents have no clue, or they're stuck with their lender, their favorite lender, even though they're not supposed to be. And we switched, and it was right on target. It was fine. It closed yesterday. So there's ways to get around that.
What Michelle's saying is there was a buyer that had a lender, and maybe it was their lender of choice. I don't know.
It was.
We have our lenders of choice, and we're like, hey, fine, you can use your lender. The appraiser, that lender doesn't really send the appraiser out directly. There's a pool, and you get stuck with who you get stuck with. Mm-hmm. Appraised at 17,000 low, and use some weird comparables. So one of the options on a low appraisal is you actually switch lenders on a conventional loan. Doesn't work, for example, on an FHA loan. You switch lenders, they get a new appraisal, which means a different person, and maybe that person does a more thorough, better, flexible job of appraising it. And the next appraiser was 17,000 higher, and the price worked out, and then they closed. And you might be like, why would the buyer want that if it appraised low? Well, the seller didn't want 17,000 less. The deal falls through. The buyer was already fine paying that price, and then they just needed the appraisal to work. And that isn't an option on every deal. Sometimes it's like, we got the appraisal back, we're supposed to close in a week. Well, getting a new appraiser would delay it 3 weeks, and some people have timelines, and it doesn't work. So they might then choose to, one of the options is just work it out. So if you have one that appraises at 300 but sold for 320, you might say, well, 310, let's go with that. So like, for example, I had one this morning that we sold at 239 and appraised for 225, and really, I think in this case the appraiser did a good job getting it to 225 because it's in an area, one of those rural areas where there wasn't really great comparables, and we worked it out at 230. And that's just what you have to do, is like, what can we make this work at where everybody's at least reasonably happy, and it still closes. So that's an example of what can happen. And we've had that happen. I think we've had probably 7 or 8 low appraisals in the last month. So
I'm not saying anything. I don't want to jinx myself.
Oh, I had 3, but they all worked out. So.
Yeah.
I just think, like, also it depends. Again, like, I know we're sitting here like as realtors, but it depends what does the listing agent tell them? Because I get offers on properties where I'm like, yep, you probably want to take that one, but we're literally gambling. So if you're a gambler, you probably want to take it. Probably not going to appraise, but let's say it appraises for this. Are you going to be satisfied if it appraises for this? Yep. Okay. Then we should probably take that. But are all listing agents telling their people that? Because then you get the people, it's worked out so far, but you get the listing agents that are like, no, they have to have this price. Or you get the buyer's agent is like, no, it only appraised 17,000 low. That's all we're going to give you. Like, that's the market. Like, no, you got to prep your buyers and sellers. When you talk to them, like, we've done enough business. We know this is going to happen. And if it doesn't, woo, yay, it appraised, So that's how I look at it. But I mean, if you don't have an appraisal clause in the offer, it doesn't mean you're not going to get it. But that's really what's helping most of the people get offers. Just guaranteeing.
Because like we said, if the prices are pushing up, like I got a listing that, for example, we were comparing it to other homes that we knew sold for price but hadn't closed, and all of a sudden I found out once we basically got the offer, because the other one was a month ahead of us, I found out that this other house appraised 15,000 under what the neighbor said it sold for. And it's like, okay, well, that's the new ceiling for your home. It's not this price that you thought you could get because they got it. It's like, yeah, it's that price now. And then at first it's like a shot, like, why are there multiple offers then if they don't appraise? Well, sometimes they do appraise because there's appraisers who are more flexible. They take a cost approach plus find do some more research, do some plus minuses on features that are updated in the home, and some just kind of throw it together like, okay, whatever, here's the price, and I don't care.
Well, I would say I had 5 low appraisals this year. One was mine, and the home I bought, and I've been a part of 43 deals and some in, so that's only like 10%. Yeah. So I don't think it's happening a lot. Maybe I had an appraiser.
I would say it's about 15% of them are low appraisals in general. I've read something like 13% of sales have fallen through this year because low appraisals. So I'm like, if you're following along with me, Michelle, on our thought process, like we've got, I think, everyone to stay together this year. I know we had a couple last year that didn't work out, but that's like 13%, like they're just literally doing nothing to keep them together. Because I'm guessing overall probably 20% of homes are coming in low on appraisals, but if 13% are falling through, that means people are working with the wrong agents on the buy and sell side, not doing a good job explaining what's happening, because that's the reason things fall through.
Yeah, I mean, like, I had an appraiser call me yesterday, and I thanked her for calling me. She was calling on some of my pending sales, and she's like, I know you can't say anything, but I'm just doing like refis. And I was like, I'm not going to tell you what it sold for, but I'll tell you it wasn't multiple offers or whatever. And, I was like, thank you for like trying to work extra hard. Cause I know like the last one that was 17 low, the guy went in at like 10 o'clock, and by like 2 o'clock, he had us the appraisal, and the comps were like, maybe this something the bank sent them that didn't even make sense. And I was like, what the actual? And then when the other one came in, she had worked on it for 5 days. She went out there like on a Friday, and we didn't get back to like the Wednesday or Thursday. And then it was at value. It's like she actually tried to do it, and it's like, okay, so that's no different. Like, let's say that's no different than the agents you use, or, the lenders you use, or, we don't get to pick appraisals, but we all go through classes just like they do. They're separate. They have to get, their 90 hours in to be an appraiser, but that doesn't mean they're a good appraiser, right? So you can't pick the appraisers, but you can switch lenders on a conventional loan. But just think about that. Now, if that appraiser was like your agent, would you want him to be your agent? Like, you can't pick things, but just think about that, how much different things are from one human to the next. Like, it's just crazy, like what their knowledge or how much they care. Like, oh, I'll take my $550 and just go. And, people are like, why would you pay for another appraisal? Well, normally you can talk the lender into giving you some kind of deal on the appraisal because they're switching to you. And obviously they're going to make money. They don't just be a lender for free. So I don't know. I just look at things differently. So if everyone doesn't know, I just got licensed in Florida. I officially got that today. I just got to sign on with a broker. So I just went through 65 hours of real estate in Florida, which is different than Minnesota. There's a lot of different things. They can't do a contract for deed. There's no dual agency, which is probably kind of nice in some ways, but I would really.
So they won't allow it, period?
You would have to get the buyer and seller to list, to both sign a document that says you can just be in a transaction broker. So you literally don't do anything. So it's kind of similar, but like really not. The buyer's agreements are like legal, but they're not like, they don't really hold you to them. But, I think about this in Minnesota. If we're helping a buyer and we sign a buyer's agreement and they want to go somewhere else, just go anyways. Like, I'm not going to fight them, so it's kind of similar. I'm going to fight them. Watch out. Kind of similar. So
kidding.
Really interesting, the rules they have there. Like here in Minnesota, you have to have I believe a high school diploma. In Florida, you just have to be 18. Just different things. Yeah.
Did you ask Michaela our question that we were talking about?
I did. She's like, I never saw that one.
Chuck, where is Minnesota's license all valid in? Is Texas, Iowa, one of the Dakotas, Colorado? I don't remember.
We don't need to take the test in those states?
It's like 5, I swear.
I didn't know that.
Florida has 13 of them. The only close one is Michigan. The rest are like, I don't know, just all.
I'm going to have to look. Now I'm curious. I don't remember.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So cool. So now we're licensed. I'm in Wisconsin. We're all in Minnesota, and Michelle in Florida. So we didn't joke last time that Stacey should get licensed somewhere else.
Where though? Like, I don't want to go to Iowa.
If you were living in Austin, you'd want to go to Iowa because you'd be right on the border.
Yeah, that's true. But I do not live in Austin.
So you're good, Stacey.
I'll work. I'll let you know.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right. We can go on to our topic of the day. What is the difference? This will help people with terms. Often we get questions like we do this all the time, right? And sometimes we don't know what other people might not know. But a lot of times when we sit down with people, we'll explain a few extra things. And sometimes people are like, okay, too much info. And then sometimes we'll explain a couple things. And then people have, 30 questions about everything. So anyway, we don't know what people don't know, and it's good to ask questions if you don't know them, and it's good for us to tell you some scenarios just to loosen it up so you don't feel shy about asking questions, but here's some of the common questions we get. This is an easier one. I'm going to throw out to Stacy and Michelle. One of you will take this. How about this? We just talked about appraisals. What's an appraisal versus an inspection? Because some people get them confused. Stacy, how would you explain what's the difference between an appraisal and an inspection?
Well, I tell people that an inspection is your choice. Basically, if you want to get it done on the home, you will hire an inspector, pay for that person to come in, and they will go over the house from top to bottom, telling you the age of the roof typically, any mechanical errors, any structural defects, or any red flags that they may see. An inspection report is a very detailed report. It's usually 50 to 60 pages. And depending on the market and kind of how you preference to your buyers, sellers are doing repairs within reasons of inspection reports. So generally speaking, if you do an inspection, you can ask the seller for some repairs, and you can ask them for all the repairs. They can agree to do them or they don't have to do them. Depending on your loan, an inspection is not required. I know VA and rural development, they'll have you do an inspection, but it's different. It's kind of through their appraiser as well. And the appraiser is someone that you pay for, that's part of your loan. You pay for it out of your pocket with your loan, and they come in and they will look at the value of the house for, like, obviously like a VA loan, FHA loan, and a rural development loan, which is a USDA loan. The appraiser is required to flag health and safety issues in the house because those homes have more strict rules as far as what they will give money for as far as loans and stuff like that. So an appraisal is like, you can't get past an appraisal unless it's conventional or cash loan. Obviously cash loan is not a cash loan, but you can't get past them. You have to do an appraisal, and inspection is a choice.
Sounds good. Anything to add to that, Michelle?
No, I mean, that's pretty much like sums up what it is, basically.
Yeah,
and I watch my clients' faces to see if I've given them too much information that I back off and say, we can talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah, I think one thing where people get confused on there is every once in a while I have somebody, oh, the bank's doing their own inspection. And I'm like, no, that's an appraisal. And what they don't know is the appraiser's in and out in like 15 minutes. They basically maybe verify measurements, check the health and safety items, take a couple photos, and they're out the door. Inspector's there for 2 to 3 hours, thoroughly breaking down the house and finding every little thing they can find, and you know, whatever they do.
Some are great and some are.
Well, I think that it's all great to find stuff. It's also like, how do they communicate it? Sometimes they communicate it in a way that's something little these people get worried about. You're like, oh God.
True.
All right, next question. We'll throw it out to Michelle. Twin home versus a town home. Twin home versus a town home. What would be your?
Okay, so a twin home normally does not have association fees. No, that doesn't mean it can't. So you have to like look it up. But a twin home normally doesn't have an association fee. It's 2 pieces of property, 2 homes connected. So if like the roof starts looking bad and you want to replace your roof, you usually have to talk to the owner of the other twin home and get them to replace at the same time. Otherwise, it wouldn't really work out. Now, I've seen sidings on twins homes be different because somebody just does one side and the other one doesn't. But the only thing, I mean, you basically split the costs on is the roof. Now, normally not an association fee. The townhome is 2 properties that are connected, or maybe 4. Sometimes there's 4. And more than that, actually, sometimes there's like 8. But nevertheless, they're combined, and there's always an association. An association normally, not always, normally covers the outside of the property, not the windows, not the garage doors. Some of them do. And I have seen associations that don't cover that. Then the fee's not really high, so it doesn't really make sense in the end. But those are rare. So basically the difference is a twin home, no associations, but you gotta talk to your next door buddy about a couple things if they come up. And a townhome association is in charge of most of the stuff. that you can do with your property. So a lot of people like the twin home option because if they want to put a fence, they just put a fence. There's no HOA. Townhome, you have to get that through that process. So that's what it is.
Sounds good. Yeah, there's not that many twin home options out there, but our P's new construction listings that we've sold a few of, and there's a couple just started, those are technically twin homes. There's not associations. And in the case where you have that agreement, we're down the road, these are new homes, so siding roof should be good other than if a hailstorm comes. There's an actual party wall agreement where basically they agree to work together if there is an insurance type of claim. So yeah, that's something you should know on twin homes and townhomes. Okay, Stacy, you suggested this one. I think it was on your mind. Down payment versus earnest money. What's the difference? Some people don't even know what earnest money is, for example.
So earnest money, we'll start with that one. I tell people it's kind of like a security deposit. So it is an amount of money that you choose, generally $1,000 or higher, when you put your offer in. So that money is submitted once your offer is accepted. And it's generally it's within three days of an accepted offer that money, what is going on?
I'm trying to see, is that Michelle?
I was like, that someone must be cooking something at her house or something. I'm like, what?
I'll bring her back, but she interrupted you.
So that earnest money needs to be submitted within 3 business days of an accepted offer. It is not money that just goes to the sellers as like a gift. It goes towards your down payment. So down payment obviously is a down payment of how much you're putting. Some people put 20% down. Some people put the 3.5% down. So that is obviously your down payment. So that's money that is saved that you bring to the closing table as well. So the earnest money is sent in prior to the closing and it gets credited towards any of your closing costs and down payments. And then down payment is your money that you put as your down payment for your loan.
Sounds good.
Is that good?
What do you think, Michelle? Anything to add or explain differently?
2 business days has to be deposited.
2. I thought it was 3.
And do they have to put down earnest money to make the contract legal?
Yes. No. I was like,
It can be $0.
Generally speaking, a seller won't take it.
No, but it could
Have you
be.
ever seen? I was like,
There
have you ever
could be.
seen it?
I think the only time you have 0, maybe Michelle has a different answer, 0 down, is like maybe I'm selling to a friend, a neighbor, and like, I'm not going to hold your earnest money. Okay, if it doesn't go through, fine, whatever.
That's one time I've seen it. And then one time I saw it on, I can't remember if it was a VA or a rural development where they don't put anything down anyway. So usually getting it back, they allowed it. But that wasn't like in this day and age. That was like 5 years ago.
I was like, I've never seen it. That's why.
Yeah, and now it's funny. I'll have deals where, $1,000 earnest money used to be
nothing.
kind of almost standard, and I'll have people like, that's all they're doing. Whereas now we're seeing higher earnest monies. That's a tiebreaker in offers. We talked about that last time.
Which, I mean, I get, like, it's going towards your, you should have the money in the bank anyways. So if you can submit it, you might as well. It makes your offer look stronger. But some people financially can't, and they're either waiting for gift money or they're waiting for something to come through that will happen prior to the closing. So that's all they can financially do. So that's fine too.
Yeah. All right. Pending sale versus active contingent sale. Michelle, it's your turn.
Pending sale is when it's through all the contingencies. An active contingent could be active contingent on inspection, could be active contingent on right of recession, which is for HOAs. It could be active contingent on other, who knows, they're waiting for somebody to, I don't know, do something. It could be active contingent on financing. So maybe they got the pre-approval letter, but they have some contingency in there. But pending is once it's past inspection and waiting for appraisal, actually. It's just all the contingencies except for the appraisal have been cleared. So technically a financing contingency in most offers, so that's not cleared yet when you pend it. But.
Very good. Anything to add or subtract from that, Stacy?
Nope.
No, and I think what happens though on these is we get a lot of people that call us through Zillow, for example, is there's always confusion. And not always. There are people who are just starting their search are confused. Hey, this one's pending. Can I see it? Nope, no more showings. Hey, this one's active contingent on inspection. Can I see it? Probably the seller is going to say no. You could sometimes make a backup offer. Hey, this one's active contingent on a sale of another property. Then probably you can see it. But even on those, sometimes you call the realtor and they're, they listed their house yesterday. They got 20 showings and it'll be sold tomorrow. And they have 5 days to clear the contingency, so it's not worth showing. So more often than not, an active contingent property you're not going to be showing either. And that's the kind of calls we get sometimes. But once for sure wants to go pending, no more showings. But active contingent, rarely there's a showing. More often than not, the only one that would be when it's sold subject to the sale of another property. And maybe you don't have to sell a property. Then they might say, okay, yeah, go ahead and show it. All right, another one. When you're buying a home and you're super smart, or maybe not that smart, I don't know, calling the listing agent for the showing versus using buyer representation. Stacy, what are your thoughts on that?
What are your opinions?
My opinions are always call the buyer's agent or find a buyer's agent. A lot of people that I talk to on Zillow, they'll be like, oh, so you're not the listing agent on this property? I'm like, nope. And then I explain to them, I can help you purchase any property that is listed on the MLS. And I say within Minnesota and Wisconsin, and now I can say Florida, because we're licensed in all of them. But calling the listing agent, obviously they're open to telling you and answering questions for you. However, they are representing the seller. So when you call the listing agent and talk to them and then get into a transaction, they're helping you and the other person. It can kind of get a little hairy because it's dual representation and whatnot. But I don't know, Michelle, you might be able to add to this a little bit better.
I have somebody that I know of that bought a house recently and just called the listing agent. The house is on the market for 30 days in this market, right?
Wow.
And I saw what they paid for it because it closed. And I told them when I heard about it, I was like, because you don't have somebody negotiating for you. I was like, that was on the market for 30 days. What did you pay for it? Like, holy cow, you got totally screwed. I'm sorry. Like, I know we have dual agent stuff too. And I was just talking about down in Florida where they don't really have it. And I'm not saying we never do it, but seriously, why would you go do that if you didn't have to? Now, sometimes when we do it, it's usually in smaller towns. So all the agents all know each other. It's not like out here when we're like flying around. So it'd probably be really no different who you're using. But like, I'm just like, oh my God.
Well, I think what people get confused sometimes is, hey, we're going to save money if we call the listing agent. Well, first of all, we probably explained this a couple times before. If you're buying a home, there is a listing fee. We go list the property, listing fee. And typically we're offering 2.7% to the buyer's agent of the listing fee. And that means when you have a buyer's agent, you're not paying that fee. It's getting paid out of the listing fee. So it's not an extra cost other than maybe like the broker fee we have, but every company seems to have a broker fee. So it's not, it's not necessarily extra cost. So they think they're saving money that way. Or they think they're going to go to listing agent and they're going to negotiate the commission down, like, oh, you can get your seller's commission, but not your buyer's. And I'm not saying that never happens ever if you call them, but like if somebody does that to me on my listing, I don't negotiate the price for the buyer. I have the listing contract and I take the offer the buyer wants to make to the seller, and then I'm a dual agent, so I can't go, I can't negotiate the price. And okay, seller, they're offering this much. What would you like? And going back to Stacy and Michelle's point, that's why if you have somebody representing you, they can negotiate on your behalf, and that's where it makes sense. So certainly if we have a land sale, people are bouncing around trying to find land, and they might land on us as the listing agent, and we do dual agency more on that. But yeah, we rarely have a buyer buy our own listing. And one of the reasons for that, I would rather have them have an agent. Like I've got listings that people do call me on, and they're excited. Like I'm going to be excited that they're calling me on it. I've done this 19 years. I know if they're calling me directly, they're probably not ready to buy or a pain in the butt to work with, so nobody's working with them. So I would rather have them have a realtor, and it's actually lowers my faith in them if they're calling me directly to buy my own listing, to be honest with you. Not that we never help somebody, because after talking to people, I can quickly decide, okay, this is a person that's, capable compared to like, okay, yeah, we got 3 other offers. So, and they have other agents that have probably worked with them. So I feel like good about those people. So that, yeah, I guess what I'm saying is you're better off having a buyer's agent almost all the time.
Unless they're awful.
All these different ideas that float around.
Mediocre, maybe, but if they're awful, then you're probably not better off.
Oh, yeah, I get what you're saying.
They don't know how to get it to closing. It's more stress than it's worth, then probably not.
Yeah, but people do get confused. Like Stacey said, we get a lot of call on Zillow, and I'll tell them, yep, I'm not the listing agent, but we help a lot of buyers in the area. And every once in a while, we get like the crabby guy, like, right? We've had I want to talk to the listing agent. Okay. You might ask a couple questions.
Sometimes I just give them the number.
Or they're like, I'm not pre-approved. I'm not ready to buy, but I want to see this tomorrow. And it's Saturday, and it's like the most beautiful day in the world up.
And it's 3 hours away.
And it's 3 hours away. You know what? Let me get you the listing agent's number and go for it.
I will too. Depending, like you just got to read them. If they're just keep on, well, here's their number. You just or sometimes I just say, okay, good luck, and if they can find the number, good job, buddy.
No, I had one, and this is an example of even a couple things where I took a Zillow call. They're explaining, I want to see this. I'm like, I could show it tonight or tomorrow. What's your schedule? And then, by the way, are you working with the agent? Oh, yeah, we've looked at a lot of houses. I'm like, okay, why are you calling the agent? Well, they can't get a hold of them and can't get them out there. We can't get a house in time. I'm like, okay, well, do you want to work with them? Well, talk to my husband. Yeah, we probably they want to work with them. I'm like, okay, well, I can't show you the home then because I'd just be showing it for fun. And I got a lot of other stuff to do instead of just showing you the home for fun. And they understood. I said it in a nice way. It was a nice conversation. And I'm like, okay. And well, can we call the listing agent? And I was like, oh God, they'll probably ask you the same questions I did. I didn't say that, but I'm like, yep, here's the listing agent's number. Go ahead and waste his time. Because
not mine. Yeah. Yeah, it happens.
But I get it. So that's some of the reason people want to call the listing agent is they have a realtor, but they're not serious enough to buy it. Now, we know that. That's what we're saying is we know that. So
right.
we got like the walls and the security and all this to get you to the listing compared to somebody might just go show it to you. And that's partially because we know it's the listing selling tomorrow or next week or whenever. So, and we can, like Michelle, she's said earlier, got a bunch of appointments today. She can't even fit you in today. You know what I mean? Like even if she wanted to, out of the goodness of her heart, to donate her time, her gas to drive out to the property just to show it to you, for you to say, nah, I don't like it. And I have an agent. She's got to help the other people she wants that are working with her and going to be working with her. So that's why we can't do it too. And we talked about this before. All right. Anybody got a topic like that I missed? Otherwise, we could probably wrap up the show. I only put 5 down. I didn't know how long it'll work. And maybe like, gosh, we didn't talk about this. And by the way, hi, Lori. Thanks for watching again.
I mean, no, I think that's good.
Mm-hmm. I think those are the main things that I kind of talk about with first-time home buyers when I'm out looking at houses like, hey, this is your first time. Okay, well, let's go through these steps and kind of talk them through those. So, and
and I mean, in a real estate transaction, there's 100 different things, but these are main questions we get. We get other main questions that are really pertinent to the transactions. These are general ones that most people I know understand, so they might seem basic, but also there's 20% of people that like, oh, I never thought of that. That is different. Oh, that's why it's different. So that's why we cover them. So, all right. Again, we don't have a set time or date for the show. It's kind of when Michelle reminds us, and then we do it. And one of these times we will make Michelle come up with the theme because we will.
She's good at it.
I'll make Stacy come up with the theme too.
Yeah, Stacey, you come up with the theme.
Does it have to be real estate related? Just kidding.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily. You just come up with whatever you got. So any of you watching that has a house to sell in Wisconsin, Minnesota, or Florida because you're moving to Minnesota or vice versa, remember we can help you. And no, Chuck does not live in Wisconsin. He lives close. And no, I do not live in Florida, but I do have a house in Florida. So it's not just some rando state I'm licensed in just to waste money. It's not what we're doing here. So just wanted to point that out there.
And I'll sit back and I'll represent Minnesota.
Yep. Sounds good. All right, everybody, take care.
All right, take care.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, listening. Talk to you later. Reach out
Bye-bye.
anytime. Bye.